In this video, we're going to talk about some rules for triangle congruence. And we talked about the meaning of congruence, but here we have some basic rules for congruence, specifically of triangles. And you may remember these rules from your past geometry classes or something. But some basic rules for triangle congruence. We have side, side, side. So if we have sides that match up, that correspond to each other, and they are all congruent with each other, then we know the whole triangles are congruent. We have side, angle, side. So if we have a side with an angle in between, two sides with an angle in between that are congruent, then the whole triangle is congruent. Angle, side, angle. Again, two angles with a side in between it. That means that the whole triangle is congruent. Now notice for side, angle, side, the angle must be between the two sides, and for angle, side, angle, the side must be between the two angles. We also have two other congruences that we're not going to be too concerned with, but I want to mention them. Angle, angle, side, so two angles with another side, and they have to be corresponding. And I'll show you in a minute what that means. For them to be congruent. And then for right triangles, if we have a right triangle with two congruent sides, then they are congruent. Now let me take you back to my previous example of the triangles. So now we have some definitions of triangle congruence that we can definitely tell, even if we can't move the triangles, which ones are going to be congruent, right? So here for TLD, we can see that we have an angle that matches up with angle C. We have an angle that matches up with angle B, and then we have a side that matches up with the side between A and C. All right, so this would be angle, angle, side. And if you want to test it, you can move it over there as we did in the previous video. Here for FQP, we have an angle that matches up with angle A, an angle that matches up with angle B, and between those two, that's important, we have a side that matches up with side AB. So this would be angle, side, angle for congruence. Let's look at this one. We have two angles, but there is no congruence for just having two angles, because the sides could be any length. So this triangle would not be congruent to ABC. Let's take a look at this one over here. Here again, we have two angles, but no side. So this is not going to be congruent to ABC, and you can drag it over there to test it out if you want. But you can see that there is no way I am going to get these things to line up. So, all right. So let's take a look at this one here. We have an angle that corresponds to angle C, an angle that corresponds to angle A, and then a side that corresponds to AB. So this one would be angle, angle, side, and it would be congruent, if I try to match it up, would be congruent. Now, how is that different from this one? We also have an angle that matches up with angle C, an angle that matches up with angle A, and a side that corresponds to AB. However, this side is not attached to the angle at angle A, it's attached to the angle at angle C, so they do not correspond. That's very important. So this triangle would not be congruent to our triangle ABC. So practice identifying congruent triangles using our triangle congruence rules.